The stars looked peaceful through the main window of the cargo ship Prometheus Dawn. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in her command chair, watching the empty space ahead. Her ship was big but not fancy. It carried supplies between human colonies in this part of the galaxy. The work was simple and usually safe. "Coming out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, Captain," said Jake Morrison from the pilot seat. He was young but good at his job. Elena trusted him to fly the ship through any situation. "Good. Take us to the refueling station nice and easy," Elena replied. She stretched her arms and looked around the bridge. Her crew was small but experienced. They had been working together for 3 years now. The ship shook slightly as it dropped out of hyperspace. The stars stopped moving and became normal points of light again. Elena expected to see the Kepler station ahead of them. It was a small place where ships could buy fuel and supplies. Instead, she saw something that made her blood run cold. "Captain," Jake said in a quiet voice, "we have a problem. 12 large warships surrounded them. The ships were dark green with sharp edges and strange designs." Elena knew what they were right away. Zephyrian ships. The reptile aliens were known across the galaxy as conquerors. They took over weaker species and made them slaves. "Red alert," Elena said calmly. "All hands to battle stations." The lights on the bridge turned red. Elena heard her crew moving quickly through the ship. They all knew what to do. Elena was proud of them. They were scared, she could tell, but they did not panic. "Captain, we are getting a message from the alien ships," said Yuki Tanaka from the communications station. She was small and quiet, but very smart with computers and radios. "Put it on the main speaker," Elena ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. It spoke in broken human language with a hissing sound. "Human ship, you are surrounded. Your species is weak. You will surrender now. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will bring pain." Elena looked at her crew. Marcus Chen, the chief engineer, was at his station near the back of the bridge. He was a big man with gentle eyes, but Elena knew he was tough when needed. Next to him stood Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's doctor and science officer. She looked worried but ready. "Jake, how many ships are out there?" Elena asked. 12 warships, Captain. They are much bigger than us." "Heavy weapons and shields," Elena thought quickly. The Prometheus Dawn was just a cargo ship. It had some weapons for protection against pirates, but nothing that could fight 12 warships. The smart thing would be to surrender and hope for rescue later. But Elena had lived through the Outer Rim Wars. She had seen what happened to humans who surrendered to aliens like these. It was not pretty. "Open a channel," she told Yuki. The young woman pressed some buttons. "Channel open, Captain." Elena stood up and spoke in a clear voice. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran cargo ship Prometheus Dawn. We are peaceful merchants. We do not want trouble." The alien voice came back quickly. "Good, you understand your place. Shut down your engines and weapons. Our soldiers will board your ship soon. You will be processed." Processed. Elena knew what that meant. The aliens would check each human to see what kind of slave they would make. Some would work in mines. Others would be servants. The lucky ones might become translators or clerks. "We understand," Elena said. "We will comply with your orders." She closed the channel and looked at her crew. They all stared at her with surprise. Jake started to speak, but Elena held up her hand. "Marcus, I need you to run a full diagnostic on our cargo systems," she said in a normal voice. "Make sure everything is secure for boarding." Marcus looked confused for a moment, then his eyes got wider. He nodded. "Yes, Captain. I will check all the cargo systems right away. Yuki, please send our standard emergency beacon. Let the company know we have been delayed." "Right away, Captain," Yuki said. Her fingers moved over her controls. "Jake, power down the main engines but keep life support running. Dr. Kim, please prepare the medical bay for inspection." Elena sat back down and tried to look calm. Inside, her heart was beating fast. She was taking a big risk. If this did not work, her crew would die. But she had to try. The alien ships moved closer. Elena could see their details now. They had gun ports all along their sides. Strange symbols were painted on their hulls. "The ships looked like they were built for war and nothing else, Captain," Jake whispered. "Are we really going to surrender?" Elena looked at him. Jake was young and had never been in a real fight. Most of her crew had not. They came from the inner colonies where life was safe and peaceful. "Jake, do you trust me?" she asked. "Yes, Captain. Of course. Then follow my orders exactly. No matter what happens, do what I tell you to do." "Yes, Captain." Elena stood up and walked to the main window. She could see one of the alien ships getting very close. It was huge, at least 3 times the size of her ship. She could see movement behind its windows. The aliens were getting ready to board. "Marcus, how are those cargo systems?" she called out. "All secure, Captain. Everything is properly contained." Elena smiled a little. Marcus was a smart man. He understood what she really meant. "Yuki, did our beacon get through?" "Yes, Captain. Message sent successfully. Full emergency protocol." Elena nodded. The emergency protocol was not what the aliens thought it was. It was much more than a simple delay notice to the shipping company. "Dr. Kim, is the medical bay ready?" "Ready for anything, Captain," the doctor replied. Elena heard a loud clang from somewhere in the ship. The aliens were connecting to their airlock. Soon they would be inside. "Listen carefully, everyone," Elena said quietly. "These aliens think humans are weak. They think we will cry and beg for mercy. They have conquered other species who did exactly that, but they do not know humans very well." She turned to face her crew. "We are going to show them what happens when you threaten a human ship. But first we have to let them think they have won." "Can you do that?" Each crew member nodded. Elena saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. They trusted her. "Remember, we are just scared merchants. We want to live. We will do anything they say. Make them believe that." Another clang echoed through the ship. The aliens were almost inside. "And remember one more thing," Elena said with a small smile. "The Prometheus Dawn is not just a cargo ship. Marcus, would you like to tell them what we really are?" Marcus grinned. "We are a Q-ship, Captain. Armed merchant vessel. We look like easy prey, but we have teeth." "That is right. And help is coming. We just have to stay alive long enough." The bridge door opened. 3 tall reptile creatures walked in. They wore dark armor and carried weapons. Their eyes were yellow and cold. They looked at the humans like they were looking at insects. "You are the captain?" the leader hissed at Elena. "Yes, I am Captain Vasquez. We surrender. Please do not hurt my crew." The alien leader made a sound that might have been laughter. "Smart for a human. You will all live if you obey." Elena bowed her head. "We will obey." But inside she was counting the minutes until the real fight would begin. The Zephyrian soldiers moved through the Prometheus Dawn like they owned it. Their leader, a tall reptile with scars on his face, walked around the bridge looking at everything. His yellow eyes missed nothing. "I am Commander Vexka," he said to Elena. "You will answer my questions. Lie to me and your crew dies." Elena kept her head down. "I understand. We will tell you anything you want to know." Commander Vexka seemed pleased. He had done this many times before. Other species always acted the same way when faced with Zephyrian power. Fear, surrender, begging for mercy. Humans appeared to be no different. "How many crew on this ship?" Vexka asked. 12 people total," Elena answered. "We are all here on the bridge except for 2 in the engine room." "Weapons?" "Basic defensive systems only. Nothing military grade. We are just merchants." Vexka made notes on a small device. Behind him, his soldiers kept their weapons pointed at the human crew. The aliens wore full armor that covered their scales. Only their eyes and mouths showed. "Your cargo?" Vexka continued. Elena hesitated for just a moment. "Medical supplies, food, basic tools. Nothing valuable." The Zephyrian commander studied her face. Humans were easy to read. Their emotions showed clearly. This captain was scared but trying to be brave for her crew. Typical behavior for a pack species. "You will show me this cargo," Vexka decided. 2 of my soldiers will stay here with your bridge crew. The rest will come with us," Elena nodded. "Of course. Marcus, please come with us. You know the cargo bay better than anyone." Marcus Chen stood up slowly. He was bigger than the aliens, but they did not seem worried. Their weapons could kill him easily. "Yes, Captain," he said in a quiet voice. As they walked through the ship, Vexka observed the humans carefully. The ship was old but well maintained. The crew kept it clean and organized. These humans took pride in their work. That was good. Proud slaves worked harder than broken ones, but something felt strange. The humans were scared, yes, but not terrified. When his people had conquered the Altarians, the blue-skinned aliens had collapsed crying. When they took the Centauri colonies, the insect people had begged for death rather than slavery. These humans acted differently. They were polite. They answered questions. They followed orders. But they did not grovel. They did not weep. They looked at their captors with something that might have been evaluation. How long have you been a merchant ship? Vexka asked Elena as they walked. 5 years, she replied. We carry supplies between the human colonies in this sector. Any military experience? Elena glanced at him. I served in the Colonial Defense Force for a few years. Just basic training. Nothing special. Vexka made another note. Many species had some kind of militia training. It rarely mattered. Civilians could not fight real soldiers. They reached the cargo bay. It was a large space filled with metal containers. Everything looked normal. Medical symbols on some boxes, food preservation units, basic machinery. Open container 17, Marcus said quietly to Elena. She looked at him with surprise. Are you sure? The commander wants to see our cargo, Marcus replied. Elena walked to one of the containers and pressed her hand on a scanner. The box opened with a hiss. Inside were medical supplies, just as she had said. Bandages, medicine, surgical tools. Vexka looked inside and nodded. Standard merchant cargo, he told his soldiers. Nothing useful for warfare. What he did not know was that Marcus had opened the wrong container on purpose. Container 17 held medical supplies. Container 18 held something very different. Your engine room, Vexka said. Show me. They walked to the back of the ship. The engine room was hot and full of noise. 2 more humans worked there. A young woman named Lisa Park and an older man called Tony Williams. They looked up when the aliens entered. These are our mechanics, Elena explained. They keep the ship running. Vexka looked around the engine room. The humans use simple fusion reactors and basic jump drives. Nothing advanced. Nothing that could threaten a Zephyrian warship. But again, something felt off. The engine room was too clean, too organized. In his experience, merchant ships had messy engine rooms, spare parts everywhere, oil stains, jury-rigged repairs. This engine room looked almost military in its organization. Your navigation computer, Vexka said. I want to see your flight records. They returned to the bridge. Yuki Tanaka brought up the ship's log on her screen. It showed routine trips between human colonies. Supply runs, passenger transport, nothing unusual. You have been to the Outer Rim territories, Vexka noticed. Elena tensed slightly. Yes, we delivered supplies to some of the newer colonies. Those areas saw fighting recently. Human civil wars. We stayed away from the fighting, Elena said quickly. We are not soldiers. Vexka stared at her. Something in her voice had changed when he mentioned the Outer Rim wars, but he could not tell what it meant. Sir, one of his soldiers said, the fleet commander wants a report. Vexka activated his communication device. Commander Vexka reporting. The human ship is secured. Cargo appears to be basic supplies. Crew of 12 all accounted for. Excellent, came the reply. Fleet Commander Sethka is pleased. Begin processing the humans for slave evaluation. The ship will be added to our auxiliary fleet. Understood, sir. Vexka turned back to the human crew. They all stood quietly, listening to everything. Their faces showed fear and resignation. Exactly what he expected. You heard, he told Elena. Your ship now belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. You and your crew will be evaluated for your best use as workers. Elena bowed her head again. We understand. Will you keep us together? That depends on your skills, Vexka replied. Families that work well together sometimes stay together. Usually they do not. Dr. Kim made a small sound like she was holding back tears. The young pilot Jake looked like he might be sick. Normal reactions, but the engineer Marcus just stood there calmly. Too calmly. You, Vexka pointed at Marcus. You are very quiet. Marcus looked up. I am scared, sir. I do not know what to say. In the cargo bay, you knew exactly which container to open. How? Marcus hesitated. I organized the cargo. I know where everything is stored. Show me container 18. Elena and Marcus exchanged a quick glance. Too quick. Vexka saw it. Container 18, he repeated. Sir, that container has sensitive medical equipment, Elena said. It could be damaged if opened incorrectly. Now Vexka was certain something was wrong. These humans were hiding something. My soldiers will open it. Stand back. 2 Zephyrian soldiers went to container 18. They used their weapons to force it open. Vexka expected to find more medical supplies or maybe some hidden valuables. Instead, he found military-grade sensor equipment. Advanced scanning devices, communication arrays that looked far too sophisticated for a simple merchant ship. Explain this, Vexka demanded, pointing his weapon at Elena. Elena looked defeated. Emergency supplies. in case we got lost or had engine trouble in deep space. It was a good lie, but Vexka did not believe it. He was starting to understand that these humans were not what they seemed. Sir, his communication device crackled. Unknown ships approaching. 3 contacts on long-range sensors. Vexka pressed the device. How far? 6 hours at current speed. They appear to be human vessels. Vexka smiled. More prey. Excellent. We will capture them as well. But Elena looked up at him with an expression he had not seen before. She was not scared anymore. She was smiling. Commander, she said quietly, I think you should know something about that emergency beacon we sent. What about it? Elena's smile grew wider. It was not a delay notice to our shipping company. Vexka felt his first touch of real concern. What was it? A full tactical alert to the Terran Defense Network. Those 3 ships coming toward us? They are not merchants. The bridge was silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Vexka stared at Elena as her words sank in. You are lying, he said, but his voice was less certain. Elena shook her head. Commander, you made one big mistake. You assumed we were helpless because we surrendered, but humans do not abandon their own. Ever. Vexka's communication device came alive with urgent voices. His soldiers on the other ships were reporting the same thing. 3 human warships approaching fast, too fast for merchant vessels. For the first time in his military career, Commander Vexka began to wonder if he had bitten off more than he could chew. Space around the Prometheus dawn suddenly filled with light. 3 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. They were nothing like the cargo vessel the Zephyrians had captured. These were warships built for one purpose only. Sir, the voice from Vexka's communicator was panicked.
Human battle group.
Dreadnought-class vessel and escort ships. On the bridge of the Prometheus dawn, Elena watched the alien commander's face change. His yellow eyes went wide with shock. She had seen that look before during the Outer Rim Wars. It was the moment when predators realized they had become prey. Fleet Commander Seth Ka to all ships. Came an urgent transmission that filled the bridge. Battle stations. Human warships have arrived. Through the main window, Elena could see the lead human ship. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The dreadnought was twice the size of the largest Zephyrian vessel. Its hull was dark gray with the blue and white symbol of the Terran Defense Navy painted on its side. Admiral Sarah Chen commanding TDN Retribution. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was calm and professional. Zephyrian vessels, you are in violation of interstellar law. Release the human ship immediately and prepare to be boarded. Elena smiled when she heard the name. Admiral Chen was Marcus's older sister. She had been looking for these alien raiders for months. Commander Vexka grabbed Elena by the arm. You planned this. This was a trap. Not exactly, Elena replied calmly. We really are a cargo ship. But we are also bait, and you took it. The Zephyrian commander pressed his weapon against Elena's head. Order them to leave. Tell them you are safe. Elena shook her head. That will not work. Admiral Chen knows military protocol. She will not negotiate with pirates. We are not pirates. We are the Zephyrian Empire. Same thing, Marcus said from his position near the engineering station. You attack peaceful ships and steal people. That makes you pirates. Vexka turned his weapon toward Marcus, but Elena spoke again. Commander, you might want to look outside. The alien looked through the main window. What he saw made his blood run cold. The 3 human ships were not alone anymore. Small fighter craft were launching from the carrier vessel, dozens of them moving in perfect formation. Fleet Commander. Another panicked voice came through the communicator. The humans have launched fighters. Estimate 40+ small craft. Elena could hear other transmissions now. The Zephyrian fleet was in chaos. They had expected to face helpless merchants, not a full human battle group. This is Admiral Chen to the Zephyrian commander. The calm voice spoke again. You have 60 seconds to release the human crew and surrender your vessels. This is your only warning. Commander Vexka was thinking fast. His fleet had 12 ships. The humans only had 3 capital ships plus fighters. The odds were still in his favor, even if the human ships were larger. Fleet Commander Seth Ka to all vessels, came the order. Maintain formation. Prepare to engage human ships. We outnumber them 4-1, Elena laughed. It was not a nice sound. Commander, your fleet commander does not understand humans very well. What do you mean? We do not fight fair, Marcus said. We fight to win. Through the window, Elena could see more ships appearing. They had been hidden behind asteroids and debris fields. 2 more human vessels decloaked near the Zephyrian fleet, stealth frigates with advanced weapon systems. Correction. Admiral Chen's voice came through the communicator. You are now outnumbered. Surrender or be destroyed. The reality of the situation was finally sinking in for the Zephyrians. They had not captured a helpless merchant vessel. They had walked into a carefully planned military operation. Sir? Yuki said quietly to Elena. Should I activate our systems now? Elena nodded. Do it. Yuki pressed a series of hidden controls on her console. Throughout the Prometheus dawn, systems came online that the Zephyrians had never detected. Weapon ports opened along the hull. Shield generators activated. The cargo ship revealed its true nature. Commander Vex-Ka stared in shock as his instruments detected the new energy signatures. Impossible. This is a merchant vessel. This is a Q-ship, Elena explained. We look like easy prey, but we have military weapons and shields. We have been hunting pirates in this sector for 6 months. Marcus was already moving toward his engineering station. Captain, all systems are online. Weapons charged and ready. Dr. Kim, medical bay status? Ready for combat casualties, Captain. Both human and alien. Elena turned to face Commander Vex-Ka. The alien was still pointing his weapon at her, but she could see fear in his yellow eyes. Commander, you have a choice to make, she said. Order your soldiers to surrender or watch your fleet get destroyed. You are bluffing. Humans are weak. You avoid violence, Elena's expression hardened. Commander, you have obviously never met humans who have fought in real wars. We avoid unnecessary violence. But when someone threatens our people, we respond with overwhelming force. The communication channel crackled with transmissions from the Zephyrian fleet. Ship commanders were reporting damage from the human fighters. The small craft were faster and more maneuverable than anything in the alien fleet. Fleet commander, the humans are targeting our engines. They are trying to disable us. Return fire.
Destroy those fighters!
But the Zephyrian weapons could not track the human craft. They moved too fast and worked together too well. It was like trying to swat insects with hammers. 30 seconds, Admiral Chen announced. Elena could see that Commander Vex-Ka was running out of options. His fleet was being picked apart by fighters, and the human capital ships had not even fired yet. Your admiral is Chen, Vex-Ka said suddenly. The same Chen as your engineer? Admiral Sarah Chen is my sister, Marcus confirmed. She has been hunting your fleet since you attacked the colony ships near Proxima Station. She takes pirate attacks personally, Elena added, especially when they target civilian vessels. Through the window, Elena could see the human dreadnought moving into firing position. Its main guns were larger than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. One shot from those weapons could destroy a ship completely. 10 seconds. Admiral Chen's voice was still calm. Commander Vex-Ka was sweating now. His reptilian skin was changing color, showing his stress. Around the bridge, his soldiers were looking nervous. They had never faced an enemy like this. Fleet commander. Multiple voices were calling through the communicator now. Request orders. The humans are in firing position. Elena watched the alien commander's face as he realized the truth. His empire had built its reputation by conquering species that gave up when faced with superior force. But humans did not give up. They got angry. Time is up, Admiral Chen announced. The space around them lit up with weapons fire, but it was not the devastating barrage that Commander Vex-Ka expected. The human ships were firing precisely, targeting specific systems on each Zephyrian vessel. They were disabling ships, not destroying them. This is Admiral Chen to all Zephyrian vessels. Your engines are now offline. Your weapons are disabled. Your shields are down. Surrender now or the next volley will target your life support. Elena looked at Commander Vex-Ka with something that might have been pity. Your empire taught you that showing mercy is weakness. But humans understand the difference between mercy and weakness. We are being merciful right now. Why? Vex-Ka asked. Why not just destroy us? Because, Elena replied. We want you to go home and tell your people what happened here. We want them to understand that humans are not easy prey. Marcus had quietly moved closer to one of the Zephyrian soldiers. In one quick movement, he disarmed the alien and pointed the weapon at Commander Vex-Ka. Captain, Marcus said calmly, I think it is time for our guests to surrender. Elena smiled. I think you are right. Commander Vex-Ka, order your soldiers to put down their weapons. The alien commander looked around the bridge. His soldiers were outnumbered and outgunned. His fleet was disabled. His empire's reputation for invincibility was about to be shattered. "Surrender," he said quietly to his soldiers. One by one, the Zephyrian warriors placed their weapons on the floor. Elena felt a moment of genuine sadness for them. They had been taught that might made right, that the strong ruled the weak. They were about to learn that humans had a very different definition of strength. The battle was over before it really began. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the TDN Retribution, watching the Zephyrian fleet drift helplessly in space. Her tactical officer was reading damage reports from the alien ships. "All enemy vessels disabled, Admiral. No human casualties. Enemy casualties appear minimal." "Good," Admiral Chen replied. "I want prisoners, not corpses. Commander Torres, prepare boarding parties for all Zephyrian ships." "Yes, Admiral." Sarah Chen was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had spent 20 years in the Terran Defense Navy, fighting in conflicts across the galaxy, but nothing made her angrier than aliens who attacked civilian ships. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the Prometheus Dawn," the communications officer reported. "Put Captain Vasquez on screen." Elena's face appeared on the main view screen. Behind her, Sarah could see Zephyrian soldiers sitting on the floor with their hands bound. Her brother Marcus was standing guard over them with an alien weapon. "Admiral Chen, this is Captain Vasquez. The Prometheus Dawn is secure. We have 6 Zephyrian prisoners, including their commander." "Excellent work, Captain. Any casualties?" "None, Admiral." "Your timing was perfect," Sarah smiled. "Actually, Captain, your timing was perfect. That beacon you sent gave us your exact position and the number of enemy ships. My tactical team had 6 hours to plan this operation." Elena nodded. "Admiral, I think you should know that these aliens seriously underestimated human capabilities. They expected us to surrender without a fight." "That was their first mistake," Sarah replied. "Send over their commander. I want to have a conversation with him." 20 minutes later, Commander Vexka was escorted onto the bridge of the Retribution by 2 human Marines. The alien looked around at the advanced technology with obvious surprise. Everything was cleaner and more sophisticated than he had expected. Admiral Chen studied the reptilian officer carefully. He was tall and muscular with scars that showed he was an experienced warrior. But his yellow eyes held confusion and something that might have been respect. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Navy," she said formally. "You are Commander Vexka of the Zephyrian Empire. Is that correct?" "Yes," Vexka replied. His voice was steadier than Sarah had expected. "Good. I have some questions for you. First, how long has your empire been attacking human ships?" Vexka hesitated. 6 months. We have captured 12 vessels and processed their crews." Sarah felt her anger rising, but she kept her voice calm. "Processed? You mean enslaved? The strong rule the weak. This is natural law. Whose law?" Sarah demanded. "Your law? Because I can assure you it is not human law." She walked closer to the alien commander. "You have been attacking civilian ships. Cargo vessels, passenger liners, colony transports, ships with no military escorts and minimal weapons. Do you consider that honorable warfare?" Vexka looked confused by the question. "Honor? We take what we need. Weak species exist to serve strong ones." Sarah shook her head. "Commander, your empire has made a serious error in judgment. You assume that because human civilian ships are lightly armed, all humans are weak. You never bothered to study our military capabilities." She gestured toward the main view screen, which showed the disabled Zephyrian fleet. "Your 12 warships were defeated by 3 human vessels and a squadron of fighters. How does that fit with your theory about strong and weak species?" Vexka was silent for a long moment. "Your ships are more advanced than we expected." "Our ships are standard Terran Defense Navy vessels," Sarah corrected. "We have hundreds of ships like these, thousands of fighters, orbital defense platforms around every human world. Commander, if your empire had bothered to study us properly, you would have learned that humans have been fighting wars for our entire history." She activated a holographic display that showed a map of human space. Red dots marked recent Zephyrian attacks. Blue dots showed human military bases and patrol routes. You see these blue dots? Everyone represents a human military installation. We have been tracking your raids for months, gathering intelligence, studying your tactics. Today was not a rescue mission, Commander. It was a trap. Vexka stared at the display. "Impossible. Our intelligence report said humans avoid military conflict. You prefer trade and diplomacy. Admiral Chen laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. Commander, humans do prefer peaceful solutions when possible, but we are very, very good at war when peace fails. We have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Fighting aliens is actually easier because we all work together. She changed the display to show human military formations, massive fleets of warships, orbital weapons platforms, fighter squadrons that numbered in the thousands. The Prometheus Dawn was bait, Sarah continued. Captain Vasquez and her crew volunteered for a dangerous mission. They knew they might be captured or killed, but they also knew that human military doctrine requires us to respond to attacks on civilian vessels with overwhelming force. Vexka was beginning to understand the magnitude of his empire's mistake. You planned this entire operation? From the beginning. We tracked your fleet movements, predicted your next target area, and positioned the Prometheus Dawn where you would find it. The Q-ship modifications were added specifically for this mission. Sarah walked back to her command chair and sat down. Now, Commander, I have a decision to make. I could destroy your entire fleet and send your empire a message written in fire and blood. Or I could show mercy and send you home with a different kind of message. What kind of message? That humans are not the weak prey species your empire believed us to be. That attacking human civilians will result in the complete destruction of any force sent against us. And that if your empire wants to expand in this direction, you will have to go through the entire Terran Defense Navy. The bridge was quiet, except for the hum of the ship's systems. Vexka looked around at the human crew. They were all watching him with calm, professional expressions. These were not the emotional, weak creatures his people had expected to find. Admiral, the tactical officer reported, enemy fleet commander is requesting permission to speak with you. Put Fleet Commander Seth Ka on audio, Sarah ordered. A new alien voice filled the bridge. It was deeper than Vex Ka's, with more authority. Human Admiral, I am Fleet Commander Seth Ka. I demand the immediate release of my ships and crews. Sarah smiled coldly. Fleet Commander, you are in no position to demand anything. Your entire fleet is disabled and at my mercy. You attacked a human civilian vessel in violation of interstellar law. By rights, I should execute every one of you as pirates. We are warriors of the Zephyrian Empire. We follow the ancient ways. Your ancient ways just got your fleet destroyed by a force 1/3 your size, Sarah replied. Fleet Commander, I am going to make you an offer. I will release one of your ships with minimal crew. That ship will carry a message back to your empire. What message? Sarah stood up and walked to the view screen. The message is simple. Humans are not easy prey. We do not surrender when attacked. We fight back with everything we have. If your empire continues to attack human ships, we will hunt down every Zephyrian vessel in this part of the galaxy and destroy them. She paused to let that sink in. But if your empire agrees to leave human space alone, we will consider this matter closed. No revenge attacks, no invasion of your territory. Just stay away from our people. There was a long silence from the Zephyrian fleet commander. Finally, Seth Ka spoke again. And if we refuse? Then the next time we meet, there will be no survivors to carry any message home, Sarah said simply. Admiral Chen turned back to Commander Vex Ka. You will be the one to carry this message, Commander. I am giving you the smallest ship in your fleet and enough crew to reach Zephyrian space. The rest of your people will remain as prisoners until we receive confirmation that your empire has agreed to our terms. Vex Ka nodded slowly. I understand. Do you? Do you really understand what happened here today? The alien commander looked at the tactical display again, then at the human crew around him. We underestimated you. We thought you were like other species we have conquered. Other species that gave up when faced with superior numbers, Sarah said. But humans have a saying, Commander. We fight harder when we are outnumbered. We get more dangerous when cornered. And we never ever abandon our own people. She gestured toward the main view screen where the Prometheus Dawn was visible. Captain Vasquez and her crew knew they might die today, but they also knew that if they were captured, the entire Terran Defense Navy would come looking for them. That is what it means to be human. Commander Vex Ka was escorted off the bridge by the Marines. As he left, Admiral Chen called after him. Commander, remember this day? Remember that your empire's expansion just hit a wall called humanity, and remember that we showed you mercy today because we chose to, not because we had to. The alien warrior stopped and turned back. For the first time, Sarah saw something in his eyes that looked like respect. I will remember, Admiral. After he was gone, Sarah Chen sat back in her command chair and allowed herself a small smile. The message would be delivered. The Zephyrian Empire would learn that humans were not the helpless prey they had expected, and if they were smart, they would find easier targets somewhere else. 3 days later, Commander Vexka stood on the bridge of the small Zephyrian scout ship that Admiral Chen had given him. His crew of 5 worked quietly at their stations. None of them spoke much since the battle. They were all thinking about what had happened. Behind them, human space grew smaller through the rear view screen. Ahead lay the long journey home to the Zephyrian Empire. Vexka carried with him a message that would change everything his people believed about humans. "Commander," his pilot said quietly, "we will reach the outer border in 6 hours." Vexka nodded. "Maintain course. Send the priority message to High Command as soon as we enter Imperial space." The message was already prepared. Vexka had written it carefully, choosing each word to explain what had happened. The Zephyrian High Command needed to understand that their expansion plans had hit an unexpected obstacle. As they traveled, Vexka thought about the human admiral's words. Sarah Chen had been right about everything. The Zephyrians had seriously underestimated human military capabilities. They had assumed that all humans were like the peaceful colonists they had captured. They had never considered that humans might have professional soldiers, advanced warships, and the willingness to use them. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the human ships." Vexka was surprised. "Put it through." Admiral Chen's voice filled the bridge. "Commander Vexka, this is Admiral Chen. I wanted to give you some additional information to include in your report." "What information, Admiral?" "The force that defeated your fleet represents less than 1% of human military strength. We have over 300 ships like the Retribution. We have established defensive fleets around every human world, and we have been preparing for exactly this kind of situation for years." Vexka felt his blood run cold. 300 dreadnoughts? His entire empire's fleet numbered only 60 capital ships. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because I want your leaders to make an informed decision," Admiral Chen replied. "When they choose whether to continue attacking human civilians or to find targets elsewhere, they should know exactly what they are choosing to fight." The transmission ended. Vexka stared at the communications panel for a long time. The humans were giving him information that they did not have to share. They were being honest about their strength, even though it would have been easier to let his empire discover it the hard way. That was not how conquest-minded species usually behaved. 6 hours later, they crossed into Zephyrian space. Vexka immediately sent his priority message to High Command. Within minutes, his communications panel was flooded with responses. "Commander Vexka, this is Grand Admiral Thex Ra. Proceed immediately to the capital world. You will report directly to the High Council." Vexka had expected this. The loss of 11 warships and their crews would demand an explanation. But he was not looking forward to giving that explanation. 2 days later, he stood in the Great Council chamber on the Zephyrian homeworld. The High Council consisted of 12 of the most powerful military leaders in the Empire. They sat in elevated chairs looking down at him with expressions of anger and disbelief. "You claim that 3 human ships defeated our entire raiding fleet?" Grand Admiral Thexra's voice echoed through the chamber. "Yes, Grand Admiral. The humans had superior technology and tactics. They also had advance warning of our attack. How is that possible?" Vexka took a deep breath. "The merchant ship we captured was bait, sir. The humans deliberately positioned it where we would find it. When we attacked, their military forces were already in position." The council members looked at each other with concern. This was not what they had expected to hear. "You are saying the humans planned this entire operation?" asked Council Member Zaxko. "Yes, sir. They have been tracking our raids for months. They knew our capabilities and planned accordingly." Another council member leaned forward. "What is your assessment of human military strength?" This was the moment Vexka had been dreading. "Sir, our intelligence reports about humans were completely wrong. They are not a weak, peaceful species. They have extensive military forces and advanced technology. The Admiral told me that the ships we fought represent less than 1% of their total fleet." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Council members argued with each other about how their intelligence could have been so wrong. Grand Admiral Thex Ra slammed his staff on the floor to restore order. "Silence," he roared. "Commander, continue your report." Vexka straightened his shoulders. Sir, the human admiral gave me a message for the High Council. They demand that we stop attacking human civilians. If we agree, they will consider the matter closed. If we refuse, they promise to hunt down every Zephyrian ship in their territory. Threats, snarled Council Member Vexlow. We do not bow to the demands of inferior species. With respect, sir, Vexka said carefully. The humans have proven they are not inferior. Their ships are more advanced than ours. Their tactics are superior, and they fight with a coordination we have never seen before. Grand Admiral Thexra studied Vexka's face. You believe they could carry out their threat? Sir, I believe they could destroy our entire fleet if they chose to. The only reason I am standing here is because they showed mercy. The council chamber fell silent. For over a century, the Zephyrian Empire had expanded by conquering species that surrendered when faced with superior force. They had never encountered a species that fought back effectively. What do you recommend, Commander? The Grand Admiral asked. Vexka had thought about this question during the entire journey home. Sir, I recommend we classify human space as off-limits to Imperial expansion. There are easier targets in other directions. You want us to run from humans? I want us to survive, sir. The humans were very clear about what will happen if we continue attacking their people. I believe they have the ability to carry out their threats. Council Member Zaxko spoke up. What about our reputation? If other species learn that we back down from humans, they might resist us as well. Vexka nodded. That is possible, sir. But if other species learn that we lost an entire fleet to 3 human ships, our reputation will suffer much more. Grand Admiral Thex Ra was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. The Council will deliberate on this matter. Commander, you are dismissed. As Vexka left the chamber, he could hear the Council members arguing loudly. Some wanted to send the entire Imperial fleet against human space. Others wanted to accept the human demands and avoid further conflict. 3 days later, he was called back to the Council chamber. Grand Admiral Thex Ra looked tired and frustrated. The High Council has reached a decision, he announced. Imperial forces will avoid human space. Our expansion will focus on other regions of the galaxy. Vexka felt relief wash over him. A wise decision, sir. Perhaps. But this is not over, Commander. We will study these humans carefully. We will learn their weaknesses. And someday, when we are stronger, we may return. Vexka bowed formally, but privately he doubted that day would ever come. The humans had shown mercy this time, but they had also demonstrated overwhelming strength. Any future conflict would likely end with the complete destruction of the Zephyrian fleet. Over the following months, word of the encounter spread throughout the galaxy. Other species learned that humans were not the weak, peaceful merchants they appeared to be. Some alien empires revised their expansion plans. Others decided to establish trade relationships with humans instead of trying to conquer them. The message was clear across the galaxy. Humans protected their own with overwhelming force, but they preferred peace when possible. Cross them at your own risk. Captain Elena Vasquez and the crew of the Prometheus Dawn returned to their regular merchant routes, but now they carried a new reputation. Other species treated human ships with respect and caution. Pirates and raiders found easier targets elsewhere. Admiral Sarah Chen was promoted and given command of the entire Outer Rim Defense Fleet. Her tactics at the Battle of Kepler Station became required study at human military academies. And in the depths of space, human merchant ships continued their peaceful trade routes. But everyone in the galaxy now knew that attacking those ships would bring swift and terrible retribution from the most dangerous military force they had ever encountered. The humans had proven that mercy and strength were not opposites. They were willing to show compassion to defeated enemies, but they were also willing to unleash devastating force to protect their people. It was a lesson that the galaxy would not soon forget. Commander Vexka eventually retired from military service and became a historian. He spent his remaining years writing detailed accounts of human military capabilities, hoping to prevent future conflicts between his people and the species that had taught him the true meaning of strength. His writings became some of the most studied documents in Zephyrian military academies. And the first lesson in every course was simple. Never underestimate humans. They look peaceful, but they are apex predators in disguise.